is my time machine, can't get caught back. I.n.n.l.y, my name is i.n.n.l.y.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy. This video here, this is going to be a breakdown of my track Knockout. The last track that I uploaded was a breakdown of my track My Name is i.n.l.y. So it's been a while, and I've still been trying to figure out what content I'm going to put on the main channel other than the music itself. So this is just something that to upload until I can figure out what the heck I can really put on this channel other than the gaming channel, because the gaming channel has gameplays and cool things on it. All right, so anyway, so yeah, this is going to be a breakdown of the track Knockout that I just recently released, and I'm going to try to go a little bit more in depth in this track and explain some things that I didn't really explain in my other one, or my other track that I broke down, My Name is i.n.l.y. So anyway, let's just jump into it. Let's not drag this intro on. For this, there is two project files we're going to use. This one is the one without stems. I usually just use two project files, one to make the drop, and that's really it. And then I convert everything to stems, and then I mix everything down to the second one. So for this one, we're going to go through like the main thing of the track and try to explain the thought process and why I did some things. But yeah, let's jump into it. But before I jump into it, I just want to say this track was inspired by the track that I made last year, which was Glitch Fight. So this, I guess you could say this is kind of like Glitch Fight 2 in a way, but not really. It's kind of like the same sound design, like that computer noise, that trashy computer glitch sound. But that's kind of like the overall basis to this track that I based it off of. But anyway, that was the inspiration for it. Kind of like a Glitch Fight 2. And when I started coming up with the idea of how I want this track to go, I found this sample here, sample from the game Dark Cloud, which I sample way too much. And this is the sample here. So that plays throughout the entirety of the track, I believe. And then on top of that, I did add this perk loops for the beginning. I wanted just like because it's kind of like it's that desert, like that village type of sound. So I added this perk loop that I found, and I thought it fitted pretty good. And because it's from a video game, I did downsample a little bit just to give it like that 8-bit crunch sort of feel to it. So where is it at? So without that downsampling, it sounds like this. And then with that little downsample there. And I use Effector for that. Usually when I usually use Effector for the preset lo-fi on it. Excuse me. Yeah, it's the lo-fi preset up there, and I usually put it along these first four and like in this area. This is usually like the sweet spot. You get over here, you get to just destroy, like it's just completely destroyed. But yeah, up in here it's like a pretty good area. I put it right there on that square because it's just sounded like the sweet spot for this one. Along with that, I also have this piano that hits here. For this piano, I took it and made 3 different versions of it. So this is the main one here. And then I took it and I changed the pitch of it and then it plays again. And then I changed the pitch of it again. So yeah. Oops. So on the second one, you can see I moved the pitch up. And then on that third one there, you can see, if I can find it, where is it at? Okay, there it is. You can see I moved it up a little bit. Wait, so let me see. Oh, sorry about that. That was the wrong one. So on the second one, I moved the pitch down, and on the third one, I moved it up. And basically when I did that, I just clicked it and hit Make Unique, so that way I could alter another instance of it without changing the previous one. Is there anything else in the intro? No. So this is what I had for the intro here so far. So then I went and like I said, going off Glitch-Fi, I know it had to have a vocal, something kind of catchy or something just that fits. I did find 2 vocal chops that were like originally going to be the main vocals, and this is what the first one sounded like. And this is what the other one sounds like underneath. And I layered them with the perk loop and the sample and got this. And the string. And then I found this sample, and I'm so glad I found it. This was the sample that you guys probably the main lead sample that carries the track. And just a reminder, I know it sounds terrible right now, but like I said, nothing in this is really mixed. Like I said, I generally just use the first project file to make the track and lay everything out, and then afterwards I just mix everything in the second one to finalize. So that I did find that, and I went into Serum, one of my packs, and I pulled out. Well, no, I originally went in. I was going to use my sound. If you have my other preset pack, which is Detuned Soul, but I found these chords in another pack here, the Future Bass pack, which is called Journey, and this one fits so perfect with it. And I layered that. I made a little chord progression here and layered that over this, and this is what I got. And that is a drop vocal right here that I also found off Splice. And I've put that right there on that break, and then go in, and then I'll bring my drums in. Oh, the perk loop, we got a cymbal, little cymbal pattern here. It's playing this pattern here. On the hi-hat, I have a growth beat up there to give it a little bit more rhythm. So without that growth beat, and with it, so it adds a little rhythm. And I have pancake on them, which is basically panning the hi-hat, and it's panning the open hat. More so the hi-hat's being panned more to the left and right than the open hat. And then with that, I did make 2 chord progressions for that chord in the Future Bass pack right here. So I have this one here. And then it plays into also went and added in a piano because I love me a good piano. So let's see if there's anything else. Oh yeah, sub bass. So I do have a sub pattern here that is following the chord progression here. And that is my pulse sub in one of my packs here. And I layered the pulse sub with, this is the pulse sub here. And it's a gritty bass that adds like nice and mid bass to it, and then I have just basic sine underneath, just to add some low end to that sub there. They combine to make the sub bass for the build. And then on the drop, it's just the it's just the sub bass here. I have two instances of it. For the build up, do have it kind of like it's pumping to give it a little rhythm, and then for the drop, it's just a solid sustained bass. So yeah, so the main thing. So yeah, we got the sample, my vocal chops, piano, those chords, the lead vocal, and some sub bass underneath following those chords. That's what we have there. Then when we get into the second part of the drop, and I'll play this. Oh yeah, and this is another build vocal that I have found off Splice. The one right here. Once again with the. So then it goes into it, and everything is still playing the same. The only thing that changes is that there's no snare. I found this clap bill here. This bill plays underneath the kick. And then I also have this bill vocal that plays underneath. So that sounds like this. Then it goes into the drop. During the drop, the only thing that I have planned to fill a little room is going to be that sample and the piano. And then it transitions into the next 8 bars with the chord from that Journey preset. So basically the last part of it. As I mentioned, I think I mentioned it in my first video, I don't like to use a lot of sounds in my drops. So this is basically just the same sounds, just the different wavetables and different LFOs and effects on it. So the main sound sounds like this. Just a really crunchy, like computer trashy bass. For the first part, I used a third version I made of it. It sounds like this. And then I use this version here, second version. This third version. Well, that was the second version of the third version, and the third version of the third version. I don't know why I break down the versions like this, because I have version 3, 3.2, 3.3. I think the only reason I do that is because they're really the same patch. I just LF4 them faster and slower. The only time I consider it a different version, and this is just me, and this is just an organizational thing, is if I change like the overall wavetable or sound or timbre of it. That's the only reason why. So I have that, and then I have the fourth version down here. And these sounds are on my site for you guys to download free for a short time, and then it will be set back to the original price of 99 cents. So if you guys are interested in those sounds, be sure to go snag them off my site and support your boy. Other than that, let's see here. I think I missed some. Yeah, down here is another version of it, and that one I didn't know what to really call it. I just called it Hyper because it is just spammed on the LFO. So when I make my drops, the thought process that goes into it is a very simple bass line, and typically what I use is the FL Studio scaler. So I'll go into FL because I know literally no music theory whatsoever. I'll go grab a scaler and I'll put it here, and that's kind of what I go off of. And if it sounds good, it sounds good. I don't think music should be a homework assignment or something that is you put too much thought into. Music should just be something that's fun, that if it sounds good, it sounds good, and if you like it, you like it. So I don't put too much thought into that. I made a simple bass line. I arranged those basses in a way that I thought sounded good, and I put it in there. I think everyone has like their unique sound and style, and like I said, basically it boils down to if it sounds good to you, then it sounds good. But yeah, I laid out all those sounds across different patterns. As you can see here, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 7 individual drops, and then I go over here. So actually, it was like I ended up making like 15 of them, different versions of it. Underneath each one of those sounds, I have sub bass that follows them, because there is no sub bass built into the patch. So you just have to, for sounds like that, you kind of just have to listen to the beat itself and fill it in. Especially if you use time warping like rhythmizers and gross beat, because then you really have to listen to it and add it in beat per beat to make it match the song. So after laying that in, this is what it sounds like. And I'll turn off the rhythmizer just so you guys can hear it. All right, so as you may see right here, I do have an envelope for the rhythmizer. So the rhythmizer, what it does is it just adds like some extra variety and fills some gaps and doesn't have the song sounding too repetitive. So like this one part here, if you look here, I have it, I automated the rhythmizer on, so it turns that into this here. Oops, hold on. Wait, why isn't that? Okay, here we go. Wait, why isn't that playing? There should be playing. Why is it? Oh, because it's off. Sorry about that. Okay, it's off. It was off. So yeah, it turns that. By the time it turns this into this here. So you could do some cool things with it. Added it here towards the end here, so it went from this here into, and that's really all I used it for. I use which preset was that over here? So I used the Simple 2 on here, and this halftime, I guess this is halftime, and it kind of just makes it sound really growly and gives it add some vowel to it, and it sounded really cool. So I used that and just added it in for this part here, and I added it in throughout the drop. Of course, in the vowel, not the vowel, but the vocal plays towards the end of the last two bars, right there, for these 8 bars, for these last two, and then for these 8 for these last two. So then it goes into the second part of it, and everything pretty much stays the same. The only thing that changes is that I add this saw, and this saw plays 2 patterns. It plays this one, and this one here. And it plays some more patterns here, which I believe is the same thing. It's just layered. As you can see, these are just singles, single melody right here, and this is a layer. So it's the same thing, just layered. Oops. Oh yeah. So 1 second. So yeah, those are just layered for the drop, but they're the same 2 patterns that I just played here. Along with that, I do have the bass that plays once it transitions to just these 2 notes here. Now I'll play it just so you can hear it a little bit better. Alright, so this is the part where my computer has a heart attack because there's so many sounds playing. But yeah, it's pretty much like the same bill. I just have to make it sound just a little bit different, I added that saw. Then I have these 2 notes that play underneath. And so my computer does not die and have a heart attack, I'm not going to play this full drop, but literally just know the only thing that changes, and you can listen to the song, is just the saw and these 2 sounds are added. Other than that, when it goes into the drop, it goes into that hyper patch, which is I don't even think my computer could play this part. But it goes into this hyper patch. So there's a lot of sounds layered here. Like I said, the hyper is the main sound, and then I kind of have the original drop from the first part underneath it to kind of access the accent. And what I wanted for this part of it was just like, it's kind of hard to explain. I just kind of wanted like a big melodic, trashy, glitchy sounding resonance in there. I don't even know how to describe it. But like I said, the best way I can describe it is you put something out, put something up, you make something. If it sounds good, it sounds good. If you like it, then it's cool. It's cool. And that's what I did. And that plays throughout it. And the way I did the hyper is 2, so it's this one and this one. So it's the same one, just faster and slower. And like I said, it plays over top of the original drop. And after that, that drop plays and it goes into the outro.
I.n.l.y, my name is I.n.l.y, my name is Knock the fuck up. I.n.l.y, my name is Let's get ready to rumble.
And that would be the end of this project file. I took everything and converted everything over to stems. For anyone that doesn't know how to do it, this is how I do it. So every single one of these right here, I turn these off. I turn off all effects. So I would turn all of these off. Even the master if you had something there. I reset every single slider. So all these would get reset. So all of these, just to pretend I set all these to regular, so all these would be reset. Every single one of these. Then I go to file, I go to export, you hit wave. You would find somewhere you want it to go, hit split mixer tracks and start. And it would spit everything out into individual track. And then you would load it back in. And the reason I do that is because if you didn't do that, then you would have effects on it. I don't know if there's an easier way to do it, but that's just how I get rid of everything and make sure everything's good, because then when you load it back in, you don't have to worry about adjusting the audio too much from what you've done. So let's move over to the other project file, which is this one, and this is the mixing. So as you can see here, there is a lot. It's a lot more uniform, looks cleaner, and it has some pretty freaky automation going on. So everything stays the same, but this time, like I said, this one's mixed and some things are added in. So for the intro, what I did was I found, excuse me. Oh man, real gassy. Oh boy. Michael Buffer, the announcer that's always said, "Let's get ready to rumble." Originally, I didn't even think to use it, but I had it laying in my slice beats, and I was like, wait, I could use that for the theme. The song is called Knockout, so I ended up adding that. And I put it in the beginning here, and I added a low pass to kind of bring the track in along with a little white noise there. So with the way I organize things, everything up top is on the master. So these are all the effects that I put on the master that I automate. So as you can see right here, the things getting automated in are the reverb and the reverb and the low pass filter. And it sounds like this.
In attendance and the millions watching around the world on HBO pay-per-view. Ladies and gentlemen, from Mandalay Bay, Las Vegas. Let's get
Knock the fuck up.
And I also ended up adding some glitch to help with transition. I use D-Blue glitch, and I usually keep these at random, because I'll add some of that in at random time and it just adds some variety to it. But for the most part, I just use it. I like to use it for tape stopping. That's the number one thing I use this VST for, is tape stopping. And so like right here on the intro, I added it in here to transition. Without that that glitch there, it sounds like this. So it just sounds cooler and helps it transition. And then it goes into the build. On the build here, what I did was, since everything is now in audio for the drop, I took the first patch and I automated the volume up along with a low pass filter. So I low passed it and I did I automate that down as it goes up, so it sounds like this. Maybe I should just play that so you can hear what I'm talking about here. Oh wait, that's not gonna work. I think at this point I just have so much automation on this project, it's going to be impossible for me to really explain everything, or at least let you hear it. But just know I took a piece of that drop and put it in the bill, and I low passed it, and I have the volume of it increasing, and then it decreases right as it peaks at the top there. Also have a crowd noise. Forgot to mention that is playing in the background. I feel a little space. What else did I add? That's pretty much it. And also added the glitch here. So without that, it would have sounded like this. So really helped it transition a little bit better there. I added it again here. When it transitioned there to get that down sampled effect, I ended up using Effector. I had that on, yeah. So there it is. I had that up there. You can see it right here where it automates on and off. I just thought it sounded cool, so I threw that in there. Is there anything new added? Not really. So yeah, the drop pretty much plays the same. After the first drop, it transitions into that saw and that other part I was telling you about. So what I did was I low passed it again and added a little reverb. And a little glitch there at top. So that helped it transition really smoothly and really peacefully into the next one. I do have these Dragon Ball Z heavy punch sound effects underneath to kind of emphasize. Then I have it low pass it. As far as kind of like I could imagine someone like got knocked out and then, you know, they count for them to get up and everything's just like they could barely hear it. And then like in cartoons when someone gets knocked out, they have the birds and the stars. So I have the birds there playing to show it like if someone was knocked out, they're getting up. This is just my creative and like this is what goes on in my head when I make tracks. I don't really know what I be thinking. And so I transition and now I can show you. So these are the sounds that plays underneath. So yeah, it has those glitch sounds that plays underneath. And that saw. And of course the crowd is back. And it goes into the second drop. And Effector for a little down sample crunch that started off into D blue for take stop glitching. Now what I did was and it's probably now a good time to go into the mixes. What I did was the way I have everything grouped here, I group everything by color. So drums, I do those in red. I do my cymbals in green, even though technically they're drums, but I like to treat them as a sort of instrumental group as their own. If it's not kick or snare or anything that hits hard, it's not going to be in the red. It's going to be in the green if it's a drum. Synths, like in leads and vocals, they get pink. And anything that is dubstep bass or bass related gets blue. and sound effects gets yellow along with the sidechain channel. That's how I do it. It just helps me keep everything organized. I sent everything to one main bus, so drums have their own bus, cymbals have their own, and then every I call these the main sounds. Like pink sounds like leads, and sims kind of like to me drive the track, so I call those main sounds. They get their main bus here. The bass sounds get their bus here, and I end up dividing everything up as need be into other channels. So my 2 kicks here, I have 2 kicks layered, and they go into one channel, which I send into the kick snare channel, which goes into the drum channel. So it's a little weird the way I mix and organize things, but it helps me when it comes to automating volume and adding different effects to things to keep things together. If you have any questions about that, just shoot me a message or leave a comment, and I can explain it a little bit better. For example, so on the drop here for the second part, so I wanted the hyper to be the main part. I didn't want the other sounds of the bad signal from the previous drop to be louder than it. So what I did was I put the hyper into one drop itself. I put the 2 hyper sounds right here into a mixer channel, and then I sidechained it to all the other bad signals here, and I use Fruity Limiter, and that sidechained it so it didn't overpower it. And also I think I did a little volume automation too to help with that. Where is it? So yeah, I think I did a little volume automation too. But that was the main part of why I separated the 2 hypers from the rest of them. It's just so I can sidechain it. It doesn't get overpowered by the other sounds. Going into the basses, I took all of them, and the way I do it, if it's the same sound, pretty much just different patches, I put them into one channel like I just did here. On here, I have a parametric EQ, which I took out the low bass frequency, not like it had sub in it anyway, but just to free up that space to make sure there was no frequencies there to conflict with the sub. I took that out. Then I did a little subtle boost in the mid and took out a little high. Took out a little of the low mid there, and then I added some sausage fattener there, and I put some OTT there. So this is what it sounds like. Wait, hold on. See if I can. So without those effects, then with those effects, also got the OTT compressor here and a soft clipper to keep it from distorting too bad. Soft clipping is really good. I soft clip everything, just for the fact of the matter being that it just makes everything more level. You don't have to worry about everything clipping or distorting too bad. On these other sounds, the main things I do, every single sound I try to mix them differently. So I give them each their own basic compression, EQ, those are low or high pass or raise frequencies as needed, chorus, reverb. That's basically like the saw. The saw has OTT, got rid of those frequencies, drops in mid, reverb, delay, and then I put a limiter up here. I don't know why the limiter is there, honestly. I couldn't tell you. Where's the vocal? Like the main vocal has an OTT, delay, reverb, soft clipper up there. The sample parametric EQ2, chorus, flanger, reverb, the piano, compressor, reverb, soft clipper. So you get the deal. Everything is pretty much simple. When I go to mix, it's basic mixing, compress, EQ, and then add whatever effects helps add some life to it. It's nothing crazy. And these are all stock FL Studio VSTs, aside for OTT, which is free. Knockout vocal, OTT, EQ, delay, reverb. Nothing crazy. Like I said, even on the hyper, the only thing that changed on theirs was just the effector, and then everything goes through the same channel. EQ, sausage fattener, OTT, and then just adjusting the volume slider. That's all it is. The drop itself, the only thing that makes this crazy, this right here wasn't really necessary. I go back and I look at this and I'm like, why did I put all these effects on here? And this was just me trying to add life to it. Once again, just making sure those frequencies were out. Took away some mid. I'm not even using that flanger. That chorus is barely mixed in. This stereo enhancer is doing nothing. I'm not even using the wave shaper. So that's why I say you don't really need to add much. And when I go in and do mixing, I sometimes add too much, and that's why none of this is really being used. This sound goodizer is mixed in a quarter of the way. This rhythmizer is it's out of CPUs. Okay, I think my computer died. Yeah, my computer's dying. So yeah, a lot of these aren't even being used. The main thing I would say is mixing, compress, EQ, and then, like I said, add whatever effects make it sound a little bit better. For dubstep bass, I'll add sausage fattener, OTT, and soft clip, and adjust the volume. I don't want my bass too loud. I want the bass to be one of the loudest parts of it, along with the drums, but I don't want it to be too loud. So what I do is I'll just drop the volume on these or mix these to not be as loud, and also have my master turned down. And there is no limiter. Don't put a limiter on your master. I'll sometimes put an OTT, but that's pretty much it. I don't put anything but a master, but effects that I'm gonna mix in or automate. On the effects here, like the crowd, just the EQ, the birds, or OTT, is minimum, just the bare minimum. On the cymbals, they're just compressed. On the drums here, the kick, just soft clipper and wave shaper, because it sounded pretty clean already, just so it doesn't clip and that it gets more punch to it. Then I added another OTT and wave shaper to it to make it hit even harder. The snare, compressed it, soft clip, wave shaper to make it hit a little harder, and then soft clip again. For drums, I soft clip and use wave shaper. Pretty much that's about it. Clap bill was just the OTT and drop the volume. And the way I use my OTT, if you're wondering, I'll leave the time on 100 and just drop to def. And address these bands sometimes if need be, but I don't really touch them. So yeah, the drop plays, and I have same thing. I have the rhythmizer going and effector, or reverb, and then it goes into the outro again.
I.n.l.y, my name is Knock the fuck up. I.n.l.y, my name is Let's get ready,
So yeah, it goes into my tag and that, and then I sweep up with effector and reverb at the end. That is pretty much the project file. I hope I'm not leaving anything out. I know it's like I said, mixing is really hard to explain. Mixing is something that even I struggle to do, and that even trying to explain it just confuses myself in the process. So like I said, if you guys have any questions about mixing or anything, be sure to leave me a comment or shoot me a message. I can explain it a little bit better of why some of these things were done. But yeah, that is the track. That is the complete 2 project files I used to make this track. That is the project in its entirety. The total time spent on it wasn't 10 hours, probably because I have it up, but it was more like 9 hours. But yeah, that is it. Anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. Be sure to like, subscribe. If you guys want to see other tutorials and things, next time I may drop a video on mastering, just because it'd be good to have on the channel, but that'll be down the line. But other than that, like I said, if you guys have any suggestions or anything as far as this YouTube setup goes, sorry about the background noises. Not too much I could do about that. And I use OBS, and I'm still trying to figure out the best format and ways to record these videos. So if you got any tips there, be sure to let me know. Other than that, stay tuned. I'll see you guys in the next video.
I.n.l.y, my name is in-n.l.y. I.n.l.y, my name is...
Knock the fuck up.